all night long, Weird Night on BBC Two.
This is Weird Night.
Hello, you're watching BBC Two.
Weird Night continues. In 5 minutes, weird thoughts. Reasonable people discuss the unreasonable. But first, when ordinary folk tell extraordinary tales, strange days.
One fine summer's evening, I was walking on the shores of Gerrans Bay with my brother, who's a high-flown scientist not given to flights of fancy, when he suddenly drew my attention to something in the water. "What on earth's that?" he cried. And to my astonishment, I saw an enormous sea creature, sea monster, just offshore about 300 meters from the shore, and we were looking down from a height at an oblique angle. And it had a long neck, an enormous hump, two smaller humps which were muscular, and you could see the muscles ripping as it was propelling itself rapidly along. And then we realized it had got a long tail which was just below the surface and which was as long as the trunk part. Now, surprisingly, the monster had this long neck and, for the size of the animal, a very small head. And in a way it looked rather endearing because it had got its head at a pert angle and its sort of nose in the air, and it was moving very rapidly and very smoothly. It was gliding very fast, and it was quite surprising, in view of the size of the animal, that it was making very little disturbance on the glassy, still surface of the water. We watched for about 5 minutes. Then all of a sudden it submerged. And it didn't, as one might expect, put its head down and take a dive. It just went down like a submarine. First of all, the hump disappeared, and there was the neck and the little head. And the last we saw of it was the little head and the nose disappearing below the surface of the water, with scarcely a ripple.
I am from Bala in North Wales, and there has been a lot of talk about sightings on the lake. People have seen peculiar things. But what I saw was, sitting in the office one morning having a cup of coffee, I looked out onto the lake and there was this massive thing swimming along the surface. It was at least 8 feet long, and it was making its way towards the bank. I went in the car and came over the fence down onto the lake foreshore, but it had disappeared. Sometime after that, I was out on the lake one day and I saw what turned out to be a dead sheep, a massive thing. I put a piece of rope round one of its legs, pulled it onto the foreshore, and then dragged it behind some trees and left it there. The following morning, I went with my staff to bury this sheep, and when we arrived at the spot, it was nowhere to be seen. And I often ask people, you tell me who goes round pinching dead sheep. As to where it could have gone will remain a mystery, but in my own mind, there was only one way it could have gone, and that would be back into the lake.
Weird.